Hello, everyone. My name is Paul Steensland. I'm a reference librarian here at St. Louis County Library, and the program for this evening is Career Prep. This is a virtual program that can show you how to use St. Louis County Library's e-courses and e-learning software to increase your chances of getting a job and to also learn some skills that you can use on the job. As always, thank you for being here. If you have any questions, please use the chat feature. I will check the chat at the end of the session so that everyone will get their questions answered. If you have a specific question about your job search, please book a librarian, and we will talk about that in just a moment. And all databases require a St. Louis County Library card to log in. A little bit more about Book a Librarian. It is a one-on-one session that we can use to talk one-on-one about your specific career ambitions, aspirations, basically figure out what you want to do. What we can do is take various St. Louis County Library resources as well as community resources and help you get a little step farther forward in your career transition. So this is something that I highly recommend to everyone who is watching because this is the best way to talk one-on-one with me, and I'm the one who specializes in career transition here at the county library. So I would love to sit down with you and talk to you a little bit more about your career transition. Here are today's resources. We're going to be looking at Learning Express Library, Gale Courses, and LinkedIn Learning. So I'm going to share the St. Louis County Library's homepage right now. So here we are at the county library's homepage. It is www.slcl.org. To find St. Louis County Library's e-courses, just rest your mouse on using the library and then come down to e-courses. First one we're going to have a look at is Learning Express Library. Most people who know Learning Express Library know it from SAT, ACT, college test preparation. That's how a lot of people use this resource, and it's very good for that, but it's also very good for career preparation. So here I am on the left side. Going to take a look at career preparation and scroll down and basically show you all the various types of materials that we can have a look at. I'm just going to grab one of these that looks interesting. How about prepare for nursing exams? This is something that I use a lot in examples for my programs because I have quite a few individuals coming through my one-on-one sessions through Book a Librarian who are interested in becoming nurses. So it's something that I try to emphasize. So let's scroll down a bit and look where it says prepare for nursing exams. So we've got a few options here. The first one looks the most interesting for me just because it's a fairly entry-level test. And the reason why I like to show Learning Express Library is this database can help you decide whether you do or don't want to, in this case, become a nurse. Because wouldn't it be a shame if you spent all the money preparing for the nursing exam, then you take the nursing exam, which costs even more money, and then you pay your nursing school tuition, and then 6 months later, you find out you don't really want to become a nurse. The good thing about Learning Express Library is you can learn a lot more about various careers, including nursing, so that you have a better understanding of whether this is something you really want to do. On the other hand, if you are very sure you want to become a nurse, it can also help you with the process. So I'm just going to choose one of these, nursing school practice entrance tests. And what these are tests that resemble the biology, chemistry, math, and general science questions that are on nursing practice, or they're on nursing like entry exams for nursing school. So the first thing I need to do is I need to sign in or register. I can do that up here at the top. And it gets my email address wrong every time. So I'm going to type this correct one in, click login. Hopefully this will work. We shall see. And here we are. So let's start the test. Let's assume that I'm practicing for the biology section of a nursing entrance exam. So click Start Test and let it load here for just a moment. So total questions 50, test time 45 minutes. I'm going to click Start Test. So as you might expect, I don't know the first thing about biology nor nursing. So I'm just going to take some wild guesses and see how I turn out. Which of the following is not a pyrimidine base of nucleic acids? I'm going to guess thymine because it's first. In primates, what is the epithelial lining of the uterus? I don't know. Maybe the myometrium. What is the clinical term for abnormal tissue growth? I don't know this one either. I don't think it's atrophy. Maybe dysplasia. But either way, that's how you take these tests. I'm going to click score my test and see how badly I have done. I'm just going to go ahead and score it. It's kind of reminding me that I've skipped most of the test. That's okay. I just want to give everybody in the audience a chance to have a look at what this looks like. My score was 1. I must have got one. I must have got one right. Yes, I got one question correct on the topic of structure and function of human systems. Hooray for me. Of course, I got 2 of them incorrect, giving me a score of, I think, 33%. Yeah, so somebody's actually giving me applause in the audience. I really appreciate that. It's far more than I deserve. I skipped 47, which is probably good because who knows how badly my total score would be. And my score was 1. So basically, it's telling me I need a whole lot of skills development. Not too surprising. I could have taken all 50 of them and probably got 1 or 2 right. So this shows how little I know about biology, at least from a nursing perspective, but hopefully this gives you a better idea of what Learning Express Library can do when it comes to practice tests for various careers that you might like to have a look at. So I'm going to move on to our second resource, which is Gale Courses. So I'm going to open up a new tab here. And then using the library, and then down to eCourses. And you'll see Gale Courses here on the first row. Click on Gale Courses. And this is another database that you will need to sign into. The great thing about signing in, no matter which tool that you're using, is that you can stop a test or you can stop a course and then come back to it later on. So signing in allows you to start and stop at the same place you left off, which is very handy, especially for test taking. So I'm going to click sign in here. And let's go ahead and do that. Let's click go. And here we are. We don't have any active courses at the moment, but I'm going to click on home. and tell you a little bit about Gale Courses. Gale Courses are 6-week instructor-led electronic courses, or e-courses. You might also call them online learning. I think during the pandemic, a lot of folks have been looking at online learning software. A lot of people are paying money for online learning resources. The good news about having a St. Louis County library card, though, is that you can use online learning software for free. Don't have to pay a dime, just need your library card. So there's 6-week instructor-led courses. So this is the only e-course that we have access to that actually has an instructor that will grade your assignments and check your work, make themselves available for questions, things like that. I've taken probably 4 or 5 Gale courses over the years, and the most recent one that I took was early on during the pandemic when we were in a professional development mode at the library. So I just wanted to see what kinds of job hunting e-courses does Gale Courses have. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate what I did about a year ago. So just type in job hunting, click on job hunting. And then the first one is 12 steps to a successful job search. This is the one that I took. So I'm going to click, well, actually not enroll now. I'm going to click 12 steps to a successful job search. A few things I want to show you on the detail page. First of all, it talks about the instructor. I like that, the fact that they give the instructor's name and bio very early on. I've never had a bad instructor with Gale Courses, but I always like it when I have an understanding of the instructor's background. Not so much that I would question their background, but it just gives me a perspective of what their strengths might be and what their background is, what they're likely to be showing me. A few more things I want to show you here is under details. It shows us that it's an instructor-led course. We knew that. It says 24 hours. What that means is there is approximately 24 hours worth of coursework during the 6-week period of time. And then you also see duration of access, 6 weeks, and then session start dates, May 12th, June 16th, July 14th, and August 18th. Now, if you're interested in taking this course, it starts literally today. But let's say that you didn't feel like starting this course today, and I wouldn't blame you. It's in the evening, but you wanted to start tomorrow. No problem. Just because it says the session starts on May 12th doesn't mean that you have to start on May 12th. It just means that that's when the coursework begins, but you can sign up for these after the start date, and the instructor will help you get caught up to where the class is right now. For instance, if you're taking it on May 19th, for instance, that just might mean that you have to do double the work on your first week to get caught up, and then after that, you'll be right with the class. Let's take a look at the syllabus. This is what we'll be doing week per week. One thing you'll probably notice very quickly is Gale courses are very structured and very organized. Every Gale course has 6 weeks and then 2 lessons per week. And I'll just scroll through to show you what you're going to be learning. Always good to know what the coursework is going to be before you decide whether you want to take the class or not. And then requirements. Almost no requirements. That's one of the great things about online learning courses is you don't have to go out and buy a bunch of expensive textbooks like you would in a traditional in-person class. All the reading materials that you'll be using in the e-course are provided by the instructor, so you don't have to pay for anything. One thing they don't provide, though, is software. For instance, if you're taking a Microsoft Office 365 e-course, they're not going to give you Microsoft Office 365. Unfortunately, it would be nice if they would give you that. It'd also be nice if you're taking a digital cameras class, for instance, and they do have a very good digital photography class that I took, that they would give you a camera, but they don't do that either. So you do have to provide your own hardware. They just give you the software. And then student reviews. Seldom do you see any negative student reviews, and I don't think it's that they're weeding out the negative ones. I just think that most of these instructors are very good. Like I said, every instructor that I've had for a Gale course has been excellent. So let's say that you want to take a Gale course. Let's walk through the process. So I'm going to click Enroll Now. And then we'll take the one starting May 12th. And then here is the student information. Just so everybody knows, I don't live at 1640 South Lindbergh Boulevard. That's the library's address. I don't live there. Seems like it sometimes, but I don't. And my birth date is not Halloween on 1951. I will assure you of that. So let's click on, thank you. Thanks for the feedback, folks. I appreciate it. I'm going to click on Continue Enrollment. And then it is confirming my student information. Then I would just type in my library card number here. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to actually enroll in the class, but this is the process of signing up for a Gale course. So I'm going to go back to home here and show you some of the other things that Gale courses can do, because one thing that a lot of customers were telling me during the pandemic was that they were using St. Louis County Library's eCourses to keep their skills sharp while they were unemployed, because what was happening was folks were getting laid off and they had time on their hands. And so they realized it might be quite a while before I can get another job, because there were far fewer jobs after the pandemic. And so what they did was they started digging into the Gale courses and the LinkedIn Learning courses and started taking courses and started downloading the certificates of completion that you get from these courses. And then when they started interviewing, before they even got to the interview, they would put completed introduction to Microsoft Office 365, and then intermediate Office 365, and then advanced Office 365. They would put all of these certificates that they had earned on their resumes. And then when they got into their interviews, whenever the interviewer would ask the question, so what have you been doing in your time off? I see on your resume, it says you've been laid off for about 4 months. If that's correct, how have you been occupying your time? And so the person being interviewed would say, well, I'm glad you asked me that question. Here are the 4 certificates from Gale courses that I took during my time off. I knew that most companies require Microsoft Office or a similar program for office tasks, and I wanted to make sure that I was conversant on it so that when I started looking for jobs, I would be a lot more marketable and be more attractive to an interviewer. And from what I hear, that was very effective. So these are not only how to get a job, but these are also how to learn skills while you may be unemployed. But Gale courses can go even further than that. Let me show you over here on the left side under Browse Catalog. you're seeing courses here that have nothing to do with actually getting a job. I'm going to click on personal development. And I'm going to click on job search is going to get us what we already looked at. So I'm going to look at personal enrichment. Discover sign language. Grammar refresher. I was educated in the state of Kentucky, so I could probably use a grammar refresher. Drawing for the absolute beginner. Well, I have tried to draw and I'm even worse than a beginner, so I'm not sure if I'm qualified to take that course. Keys to effective communication. Mastering public speaking. Leadership. So these are all kinds of courses that you could take to be better on your job, as well as learning skills like sign language that may have nothing to do whatsoever with a career, but can help you learn a valuable skill. So this is all that I have to say on Gale Courses. If you have some questions, please put them in the chat. I see one person has done that, and I will look at all the questions at the end of the program. So let's move on to our third database, which is LinkedIn Learning. Let's open up a new tab, click on the library's homepage, and just like before, hover my mouse on using the library down to eCourses, and then scroll down to LinkedIn Learning. Now, some of you may have used LinkedIn Learning before, but you just didn't know it. And the reason why is that LinkedIn Learning used to be called lynda.com, but it's now called LinkedIn Learning, and that's a good thing because as much as I loved Lynda, I love LinkedIn Learning even more because it has about twice as many e-courses as lynda.com did. So I'm going to click Get Started. Type in my library card number. Browser remembers that. Continue, and so here we are. So I'm going to click inside search for skills, subjects, or software. I'm going to type in job hunting and see all of the options we have. First one, very simple, finding a job. Jody Miller, May 2018. It's 39 minutes. That's one thing you'll notice that's different between LinkedIn Learning and Gale Courses is LinkedIn Learning, their classes are a whole lot shorter. And that could be a good thing or a bad thing. One of the good things about LinkedIn Learning is because the courses are so short, you can take many of these at one sitting. It's not a 6-week instructor-led situation like Gale Courses. This is a lot more flexible with LinkedIn Learning. Some people ask me, should I use LinkedIn Learning or should I use Gale Courses? Well, a lot of it depends on what you're looking to learn and how you like to learn. If you're somebody who likes a structured learning environment with an instructor, then Gale Courses is probably a better option for you. On the other hand, if you're somebody who likes to learn at your own pace, jump around sometimes, maybe you get halfway through finding a job and you say, well, let's move on to something else. I really wasn't into this one. I want to try find a job in the hidden job market. That sounds more like my style. You can do that. You can mix and match. There's no instructor that's a part of this. You do see an instructor on the screen. In fact, I'm just going to click on find a job in the hidden job market to kind of give you an idea what that looks like. And yeah, we'll pause Sarah here for the moment. No offense, Sarah. But either way, here is how a LinkedIn learning course is structured. It's the learning environment is similar to Gale courses, but also different. One thing that's similar is over here on the left side, you see a very structured approach. Even if you're not very structured as a student, and that's okay, the courses themselves are structured. It tells you how long each segment is. And let's take a look through. One of the things I like about these LinkedIn learning classes is we see Sarah Johnson, interview coach, executive resume coach, career coach, and then you click on LinkedIn, you can find Sarah Johnson's LinkedIn profile just as you would expect from LinkedIn Learning. Little details about the course. Release 6/25/2020. This is one thing I like about LinkedIn Learning is because they're not 6-week courses, it's a lot easier for LinkedIn Learning to update their courses so that we get something released in June of 2020. And the nice thing about that is you're getting literally the COVID experience. We're in the throes of COVID-19, of the pandemic in June of 2020. So this gives a perspective of that situation, which some of the other courses don't always include. In fact, you may have noticed the first course we looked at was released in 2018, which doesn't take into consideration all that we've experienced since 2020. And she is absolutely right about this. 80% of jobs are not posted on job boards or company websites. I have a lot of people coming to me saying, should I use Indeed, or should I use Monster, or should I use some other job website? And I say, well, okay, if you want to use them, fine. But where you really should be looking is the jobs that aren't advertised. And so they say, well, how do we get the jobs that aren't advertised? Well, one way I could tell them is take Sarah Johnson's course right here. But the other thing I tell them is find companies that you'd like to work for, companies that have a good reputation, companies maybe that you have friends that are working there that can tell you why it's a great place to work. And once you find that, then start reaching out to people who are already working there. Hopefully people that you are friends with or that you're acquaintance with can be that person, but it might be somebody who you've never met before, but you can build a relationship with them. And that's something that we talk about in some of the other career transition courses that we're doing here, is how to find these jobs that aren't advertised. It's making relationships within a company. And then once you've built that relationship, then you'll have access to jobs that nobody else knows about. If you apply for a job on Indeed.com, you may be competing with 10,000 people, depending on the job, because everybody is looking at it. Whereas if you use your network, and hopefully you've been creating your network in the company you want to work for, but once you have your network, they will be the ones who inform you of jobs that might be available. And that way, you're not competing with tens of thousands of people. You're competing with, well, maybe a handful. Maybe there are internal candidates, nothing you can do about that, but at least you're narrowing your odds in terms of getting the job, because you'd like to be one of 20 rather than one of 10,000. So let's take a look here just to see what this course is all about. some related courses down here. Let's take a back button here. Let's just scroll through and see what we can find. Here's a 4-minute and 22-second course on mental attitude while job hunting. Hopefully, there's more to it than just 4 minutes. Maybe they'll recommend some other things, but if you're somebody who doesn't have a lot of time and would rather take a short program, this course might be for you. Managing stress, building resilience while job hunting. Yeah, this sounds like the part 2 of the one we were looking at earlier about the positive mental attitude. Job seeker tips. I actually do follow Jenny Foss on LinkedIn. She is a top career coach. I've listened to some of her podcasts. She's somebody that I can recommend as an instructor. We're seeing some 2020s, some 2019s. The more recent you can get for these courses, the better. So again, that's the first 20 or so e-courses for LinkedIn Learning on the subject of job hunting. Let's take a look and see what else LinkedIn Learning can show us. Let's browse by topic. Well, let's have a look at photography. One thing I want to direct your attention over here on the left side is the learning paths. You notice they break them down by courses, videos, and learning paths. This is one thing that I really want to show off to you this evening. So I'll click on learning paths. What learning paths are is multiple courses from LinkedIn Learning that are bound together to form a longer course. So this first one, Become a Photographer, you notice this is 18 hours. We're getting a lot closer to those 24 hours that you saw from Gale Courses, aren't we? So I'm going to click on Become a Photographer. And let's take a look at what's involved here. So they've got them, what seems to be broken down by basic level all the way to a more intermediate. So we've got our first steps, introduction, and you see the varying lengths of time in these courses. So all kinds of courses. And the nice thing about the learning paths is once you complete them, you get a certificate that you can print off and hang on your wall. You can frame it. You can submit it to a hiring committee if you like to. But either way, you do get a little bit of paper at the end. Here are the authors of the various courses. I especially like Joseph Linatsky's photo. I mean, you could tell he's not just a photographer, he's a subject. He's somebody who's getting his photo taken because this man knows how to dress and he knows how to pose. So that's about all I have to say for LinkedIn Learning. LinkedIn Learning is good for folks who like a little more variety, a little less structure in their learning environment. They're people that can take a course that lasts an hour, and they're people who can take a course that lasts 5 minutes. Either way, they like a more flexible, more user-friendly learning environment. Whereas Gale Courses is great for those who love structure. LinkedIn Learning is those are great for those who take a more proactive approach to their learning. Sometimes I like to just take a 20-minute LinkedIn Learning course just to sharpen up some skills. On the other hand, there are times when I really need a 6-week course, and I recommend people use both. Try them both out. See what you think. I've known some folks who like to take the 6-week Gale course and then supplement the Gale course with various LinkedIn Learning e-courses as well, so that maybe the Gale course gives them a good grounding, a good foundation, a more well-rounded education. The LinkedIn Learning gives them some of those interesting specific courses that go along well with the foundation. But whatever way you work best, keep doing that. So let's take a look at the questions. Okay. Nadi says, I agree. Excellent. Whatever you agreed to, you are right. And also great info. I appreciate it. Thanks for the questions. If you have any more questions, please keep sending them. I'm going to come back to my PowerPoint presentation here so that we can finish up. So here is what we have just learned. Thank you. I know that there's a lot of things you could have been doing on this evening. Some of them probably more fun than hanging out with us here, but I do appreciate that you made the time to join us. If you want to get a virtual St. Louis County Library card online, you can click the link here. If you want to book a librarian, and I hope you want to book a librarian so that we can talk one-on-one, here's the link to do that. If you want to chat with us, here's a link right here. Give us a call. Here's the general reference email. Got another question here. Thank you for the lively presentation. You are awesome. Thank you. You are far too generous. I try to make these things interesting because I always appreciate it when I take training from one of these database companies that we subscribe to, and they send a trainer out, and usually the trainers are fantastic, but I always picture myself, what would I want to be hearing if I were in the audience? And so I appreciate it when the instructors are lively and entertaining and personable when I'm a student. So I appreciate it when my students tell me that they like how I'm doing things. Let's see, Judith saying, I've been out of the workforce for almost 10 years. Where should I start? Where should I start looking for a job? Thank you, Judith. That is a huge question and not a question that I can answer fully in this evening, but this is a great example of when to book a librarian, because what I'd love to do is sit down with you over a one-on-one Zoom conversation and just talk to you a little bit about where you are, where you're looking, what resources are you using, both in the community and maybe from St. Louis County Library. But I just love to get a better understanding of what your situation is so that hopefully I can show you some resources that can help you. That was a great question, Judith. I appreciate you asking me that. Anybody else? Okay, before I sign off, I want to let you know that I will be sending out the slides that we use today for career prep, as well as a schedule for a schedule for upcoming classes from the St. Louis County Library, as well as various community resources that various job hunting organizations send to me. I'm more and more getting connected to a lot of these wonderful folks in the community. So I want to let you see what they're offering, because very often they've got lists of job fairs and employers and people who are looking to hire, because you've probably seen it on the news just like I have. A lot of companies are hiring now. Uh, the economic confidence is high. Companies think that they're going to be doing a lot of business very soon, and they want to get people in. So if you are looking for work, now is a good time to get engaged. Now is a good time to start looking at your options and getting some interviews. So again, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out today. Hope you learned something. Hope you had a good time. And I hope to see you again for more of our classes. Have a great evening. And I am going to stay in the Zoom here for a while, but I am going to stop the recording.